Prisoner of Desire, How I Gave My Heart, and More, to a Dangerous Stranger. Chapter 1. The Prisoner's Wife. Emily Harrington sat at the edge of the couch, her fingers tracing the delicate patterns on a worn-out quilt. The faint scent of lavender lingered in the air, a remnant of her efforts to keep the space feeling like home. It had been 2 long years since her husband, Ryan, had been sentenced to prison for a crime she still struggled to comprehend. Every visit to the sterile visiting room was a reminder of the life she once had, one filled with laughter and love. Now, it was just her and the shadows of memories. During one of these visits, Ryan sat across from her, his eyes searching hers for understanding. The weight of despair hung heavy between them, and she could see the toll prison life had taken on him. You have to believe me," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. "I didn't do it. Someone is framing me." "I want to believe you, Ryan," she replied, her heart aching. "But it's hard. The evidence, it looks so convincing." His hands gripped the table, knuckles white. "I need you to help me figure this out. I can't sit here and do nothing while my life crumbles." Emily felt tears prick her eyes. "I will. I promise. I don't know where to start." "Start with Mark," he urged, leaning closer. "He was the last one with me that night. I think he's behind this." As she left the prison, the cold air hit her like a wave of reality. Doubts began to creep into her mind. Could she really believe him, or was she simply clinging to hope? The more she thought about it, the more she realized that the world around her was unraveling. Chapter 2. The Unraveling. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's life continued to unravel. The bills piled up like a mountain of despair, and the loneliness became a constant companion. Friends who once filled her life with joy had slowly drifted away, unable to understand the burden she carried. One evening, while wandering through the grocery store, she bumped into Jake, an old friend from high school. His warm smile felt like a ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. "Emily, is that you?" he asked, his voice laced with genuine surprise. "Jake, it's been so long," she replied, her heart fluttering. "Let's grab a coffee and catch up. You look like you could use one." As they settled into a small cafe, Emily found herself laughing at old memories. "Remember that time we tried to bake a cake for the school fundraiser and ended up with a giant burnt mess?" she giggled. Jake chuckled, leaning back in his chair. "I still think we should have presented it as modern art." As they chatted, she felt a flutter in her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, igniting a spark in her heart, but guilt clung to her like a shadow, reminding her of Ryan's plight. "Emily, can I be honest?" Jake said, his expression turning serious. "You seem different. Lighter, maybe." Emily hesitated, feeling the weight of her circumstances. "It's complicated, Jake. Ryan, he's in prison, and I'm trying to keep everything together. I can't imagine how hard that must be, but you deserve to be happy too." His words hung in the air, a reminder of the battle she faced between loyalty and her growing feelings for Jake. Chapter 3. Secrets Revealed. One fateful night, as she sifted through old papers searching for something, anything, tangible from her life with Ryan, Emily stumbled upon his case files. The details were a jigsaw puzzle of confusion, but her heart raced as she read about the evidence against him. "What is it?" Jake asked when she shared her discovery during their next meeting. "I found Ryan's case files," she said, her voice shaking. "The evidence, it doesn't add up." Jake leaned closer, curiosity piqued. "Let me see. We can figure this out together." They spent hours poring over the documents, connecting dots like detectives. "Look at this," Jake said, pointing to a timestamp. "This doesn't match up with what Ryan told us." As they worked together, Emily felt a connection with Jake grow stronger, a tension that pulsed beneath the surface. Late-night phone calls turned into midnight drives under the stars. One evening, while sitting on a park bench, Jake turned to her, his gaze intense. "Emily, there's something about you that's captivating," he said, his voice low. The air was thick with unspoken words. "Jake, I don't know what to say," she stammered, feeling her heart race. "You don't have to say anything. Just know that I'm here for you." Just as their relationship began to shift, Emily's world tipped again. During one of their investigations, they discovered that Ryan's business partner, Mark, had been involved in questionable dealings. Why would he do this? Emily asked, her mind racing. Greed, jealousy, who knows? Jake replied, frustration lacing his words. But we need to find out more. This could be the key to clearing Ryan's name. Chapter 4. A Dangerous Game. With their investigation progressing, Emily quickly realized that someone was watching them. Mysterious figures lurked in the shadows, and the tension escalated. I feel like we're being followed, she said one evening as they walked back to her car. Just stay close to me, Jake replied, scanning their surroundings. We'll figure this out. Each late-night phone call, each furtive glance felt like a step into a dangerous game. Jake insisted on accompanying her to the next prison visit, believing it was safer together. As they entered the stereo room, Emily felt a pang of guilt wash over her, a tidal wave of emotions crashing against her resolve. Jake, you shouldn't be here, she whispered, her heart racing. Too late. I'm not letting you go in there alone, he said, determination in his voice. When Ryan entered, his expression shifted, narrowing at the sight of Jake beside her. Who is this? Ryan's voice was low, laced with jealousy. Ryan, this is Jake. He's helping me with, she faltered, unsure how to explain without revealing the extent of her feelings. Ryan's jaw tightened. I don't like it. I want to know what he's helping you with. Emily took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. We're investigating the case. I need his help, Ryan. You should focus on me, not him, Ryan shot back, his frustration evident. I can do both, she insisted, her voice steady. We're in this together, remember. Chapter 5. The Twist. As they dug deeper into the mystery surrounding Ryan's case, Emily received an anonymous tip that pointed to a critical piece of evidence, security footage from the night of the crime. Heart pounding with anticipation and fear, she and Jake rushed to obtain the footage. Do you think we'll actually find something? Jake asked, excitement creeping into his voice. I hope so, she replied, anxiety knotting her stomach. This could change everything. As they sat in the dimly lit office of the local police department, the grainy video played before their eyes. This is it, Jake exclaimed, leaning forward. Wait there, that's Ryan. Just as they celebrated their breakthrough, a dark shadow loomed over them. Jake was attacked by thugs in an alley as they left the police station, an ambush that sent Emily's heart plummeting. Jake, she screamed, rushing towards him. Panic coursed through her veins as she ran to him, but the assailants were quick, vanishing into the night. In that moment, she realized the depth of the danger they were in and the cost of their pursuit of truth. Emily, are you okay? Jake groaned, clutching his side. I'm fine, but we need to get out of here, she urged, her heart racing. Just as they turned to leave, a familiar voice called out from behind. You two think you're so clever, don't you? Emily froze, recognizing the voice. It was Mark, Ryan's business partner. What do you want, Mark? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Just to remind you that you're in over your heads, he sneered. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Chapter 6. Choices and Consequences. Ryan's release was conditional on a plea deal, but he agreed to help Emily and Jake, driven by a mix of love and desperation. Together, the three of them devised a plan to confront Mark. Are you sure about this? Emily asked, her voice wavering as they prepared for the confrontation. Trust me, Ryan replied, his eyes fierce. We can't let him get away with this. As the confrontation unfolded in a dimly lit warehouse, Emily watched the dark shadows of the past come to light. The tension was palpable, a charged atmosphere filled with the threat of violence. Mark, this ends now, Ryan said, stepping forward, anger radiating from him. Really? You think you can just walk back into my life after what you did? Mark retorted, his voice laced with venom. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as the standoff escalated. This is about truth, Mark, she interjected, trying to diffuse the tension. We're not letting you frame Ryan any longer. Mark laughed, a chilling sound that echoed off the walls. You think this is just about you? You have no idea what you're up against. As the confrontation reached its climax, Jake leaped forward, grabbing Mark in a desperate attempt to subdue him. Emily's heart raced as the chaos unfolded, and just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Ryan lunged at Mark, knocking him to the ground. Get the evidence, Em, Jake shouted, wrestling with Mark. Emily frantically searched through the documents, her hands shaking. "I've got it. I've got the footage," she cried out, adrenaline surging through her. With the evidence in hand, they managed to call the police just as Mark's true intentions were revealed. Chapter 7. The Truth Uncovered. The aftermath of the confrontation left Emily feeling both victorious and shattered. The truth had emerged, but at a significant cost. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, concern etched on his face as they waited for the authorities to arrive. "I will be," she replied, her heart heavy with the weight of the night's events. Ryan stood beside her, looking worn but relieved. "We did it, Em. We exposed him." Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at Ryan. "But at what cost? We nearly lost everything." "Sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even if it means risking it all," he said, his voice steady. Just then, the police arrived, and as the officers took Mark into custody, Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. Yet, her heart was torn between the two men who had both fought for her in different ways. Chapter 8. Love in the Shadows. In the weeks that followed, as Ryan's case was re-examined, Emily found herself caught in a web of emotions. Her loyalty to Ryan was tested, but her feelings for Jake had grown into something deeper. One evening, as they sat together on her porch, Jake turned to her, his expression earnest. "Emily, I need to be honest with you. I care about you, more than I should." Her heart raced at his words. "Jake, I feel the same way, but I'm still married to Ryan. He needs me." "I understand, but Ryan is in prison. You can't keep living in the past," Jake replied softly, his eyes searching hers. As the sun set, casting a warm glow around them, she found herself leaning closer to him. "It's not that simple. I still love him, but I don't know what the future holds." Jake reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You deserve to be happy, Emily, no matter what that looks like." In that moment, Emily felt the weight of the world lift. She was torn between loyalty and a newfound sense of freedom. A freedom she hadn't realized she craved until now. Chapter 9. The Choice. Emily finally found herself at a crossroads. Ryan was being released soon, but her heart was restless. One night, while staring at the stars, she realized that the life she had built had changed irrevocably. Jake sat beside her, sensing her turmoil. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "Everything," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't know how to reconcile my feelings for both of you." He took a deep breath, his eyes steady on her. "You need to choose what's best for you. Don't let guilt or obligation dictate your happiness." Emily nodded, the weight of his words resonating deeply. "I know I have to make a choice, but it feels impossible." "Life is rarely black and white, Em. Follow your heart," he said softly, offering her strength. As she contemplated her decision, Emily felt the walls closing in. The truth was clear. She had the power to shape her future, to reclaim her happiness. Chapter 10. Embracing the Future. When Ryan finally walked out of prison, Emily's heart raced with conflicting emotions. The moment they locked eyes, a surge of love and pain intertwined within her. "Em," Ryan called, rushing towards her, his arms enveloping her in a warm embrace. "I missed you," she murmured, her voice muffled against his chest. "I'm sorry for everything. I never meant to put you through this," he said, holding her tightly. As they pulled back, Emily knew the time had come for her to speak her truth. "Ryan, we need to talk. About everything." "Is it about Jake?" he asked, a shadow crossing his face. "Yes, I care about him, Ryan, but I want to be honest with you about where I stand." The tension was thick in the air as she shared her feelings, her heart pounding as she spoke. "You were my past, but I need to embrace my future. I've grown in ways I never expected, and I can't ignore that." Ryan's expression softened, understanding dawning in his eyes. "I don't want to hold you back, Emily. You deserve to be happy. I didn't want to lose you." In that moment, a wave of relief washed over Emily as she realized that love doesn't always bind. It can also set you free. As she walked away from the past and stepped into a future filled with uncertainty, but also hope, Emily felt lighter than she had in years. With Jake by her side, they faced the unknown together, hand in hand, hearts open to whatever awaited them. The night sky glittered above them, a symbol of endless possibilities, a reminder that life, with all its unexpected twists and turns, was a beautiful journey, and they were ready to embrace it together.